Hey, thanks for stopping by.
All right, perfect. So, hello there, and thank you so much for visiting your local comic Sean. I'm Sean, and today Michael has stopped by once again to talk Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. If this is your first time listening or watching, visiting your local comic Sean is a podcast where we normally talk comics in a book club style format. The titles guests and I are reading can be found on my socials at local comic Sean, well ahead of new episodes discussing them, and new episodes drop every Monday at midnight. For audio listeners, this podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. For those who prefer video, the podcast can also be found on YouTube. Please feel free to follow or subscribe on your platforms of choice. If you like the show and want to support it, I encourage you to subscribe to our Patreon. Subscribing gives you the opportunity to see behind the scenes content, learn how the podcast gets made, and or gain access to resources for both reading and digital creation. Thank you to all who subscribe to this show in any way, shape, or form. I truly appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get started and talk Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So,
Yes.
just to open the conversation, Mike, what did you think of this book?
I thought it was great. It was really good.
Oh, thank God.
It
Because
was
I
a
was gonna
nice,
say this book was awesome, right?
yeah,
I
definitely.
didn't want to assume that you loved it, but I was just
Hmm.
kind of there like this was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a nice, isolated, tight story, something new for Supergirl, at least from my experience. And I just thought it was a, great direction to go with the character and everything.
Yeah, it was. I
And
remember when this book was releasing week to week because this was one of the Infinite Frontier titles that launched around 2021. So I know you're less familiar with like weekly comics coming out, right?
right, yeah, yeah, not so much.
So around the time that this was coming out, so this was actually Infinite Frontier was the DC initiative. That's when I started like reading week to week,
Okay.
like and really jumped onto series. I think I have the first issue of this book because the comic collector in me was like, I want to buy first issues of books that I
Yeah, of
think might
course.
be important down the line. But I didn't get to reading it because I was reading like Flash, Nightwing, Superman, like all these books. Was there a Superman book at the time? Actually, there might not have been. Because I know Action Comics, and then there was later the John Kent series. I think that came out later. But no, so basically what had happened was like that fall prior, because this Infinite Frontier launched in March of 2021.
Okay.
That fall prior was like, do you know about Dark Knight's death metal and all of that?
I've heard of it, but no, I don't, yeah, I don't much know
Yeah,
much
it
about
was
it.
like, they're fighting like evil Batman and this and that, or it was like the
Okay.
sequel to the original. And so that wrapped in December of 2020, and it kind of I did another reboot to the DC universe,
Okay.
like a light one. And so for 2 months, like all the ongoing series were paused, and we got this thing called Future State, which was
Okay.
2 months of all these books set in like a dystopian future of like where these books could go in the future, but not people didn't really read it or like it, it seemed.
Right.
Um, like that was that there was like a Titans miniseries where like Wally West killed all no, was it might have been the Flash book. There was a book where evil Wally West like killed all the Flash family or something.
Okay.
Um, Wally West was really still doing well at that point. Um, but so yeah, so we had like these 2 months of like just no ongoing series, and then Infinite Frontier launched in March, and it started with a one shot that was Infinite Frontier number zero, and then all these books spawned, and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow was one of them, alongside like a new Damian Wayne Robin series, uh, the Nightwing series by well, it's a continuation, but Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, which a lot of people love, they started their Nightwing run. So this book comes out, and I was like, all right, miniseries, I'll get to it. And I finally have read it because, we're on this DCU kick, you and I, of all right, well, let's read what was the last one we read? Oh, All-Star Superman. Now we're reading this because it's crazy that they are adapting this to a movie already. Oh, did you? Oh, he froze. No. He'll be back. He'll be back. I'll just cut to when he returns. I don't even know if he heard all the stuff I was saying. That's awkward.
Hey, sorry about that. Don't know what
You're
happened.
good. When did I lose you? What was the last thing you heard from me?
Um, you were talking about the Wally West thing, and then it right after that.
Yeah, so basically all you missed that was me being like, so Supergirl starts, and it was an 8 issue, and I didn't read it till
Okay.
now. Uh, the I'm gonna have to like cut this or something. I don't know. The listener will hear it. But yeah, so all I said was that I hadn't read it till now, and oh my God, why did I
Sure.
wait on this? Although I definitely think it was a more enjoyable time binging it than I feel like if I was waiting month to month, I definitely would have been like, come on, I just want to know what
Yeah, for how
happens
contained
next.
it is, yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been rough.
Well, that's the Tom King of it all. Are you familiar with Tom King?
A little bit.
Yeah, Tom King, he's done like a lot of mini series. We talked about this a little bit when we read The Vision, Ganeet and I. But Tom King,
Correct.
from what I understand, when he does these like limited mini series or, limited series contained stories,
Hmm.
he writes the whole thing out first. And then
Oh,
like
okay.
the artist
Cuts it up.
works on it, month to month and everything. So basically like he can go from his ending, he can kind of go back and like retool things if he needs to.
Gotcha.
So what was your experience like reading the book?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about it going in. I just,
Hmm.
we agreed on reading it, and I was like, okay. And so, because we knew the movie was coming out, and yeah, I mean, the most I've seen of it was the cover, and I was like, I kind of had an idea from, especially from what James Gunn has said, at least, is that it's like this intergalactic story, and I was like, all right, we're going to space. That's good enough for me. Like, but yeah, I didn't realize how like much of an emotional thing it became, like how it's just kind of the two of them on this adventure. It's like I thought it was more her going around. I didn't, I had no idea it was about this little girl and the whole like revenge plot.
Yeah.
It just definitely like exceeded my expectations. Did not see most of it coming, and I was thoroughly impressed.
I wasn't expecting it to be like a medieval like folk tale
Yeah,
because
like the retelling, like the structure of it
yeah,
all. Yeah, that
it
was
was
cool.
crazy good. Like, because, usually in a comic, you get like the internal monologue of the characters,
Yeah,
and that wasn't this. It was all like, so the little girl, Ruth, so the whole point of this book is Supergirl decides to go to a planet with a red sun when she's 21 so she can drink
right.
and feel it, which is
That's so
hilarious
funny.
as an
Yeah,
opening. But Ruth, like basically this planet is like in their Middle Ages. And
yeah.
so Ruth is, on a family's farm in like a kingdom or whatever, but they're
Hmm.
remote from the kingdom. And her father was murdered by like an agent of the king, a king's agent, I think is how they
Yeah.
pronounce it. Um, and so yeah, she goes on this revenge quest and goes to like a local bar to like hire a mercenary. And he's like, "I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it, girl." And then he just kind of dismisses her. I think doesn't he whacks her and like
Yeah, there's
Supergirl's
a
in the
fight.
bar drinking, so she kind of stands up for the girl and everything. And at first, Supergirl's like, the girl sees the power of Supergirl's like, I will hire you to
You
help me
come with me
hunt
now.
down the guy. And she's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Sorry. But
Hmm.
then, so this was the part I had heard about around the time it was coming out, but forgot about it. Um, so the girl tracks down Supergirl and Krypto's with Supergirl
Right.
and because the guy's name, the villain of this book, Krem of the
Prem.
Yellow Hills, it's so medieval, just the way it
Yeah,
is.
it's
Just
so medieval.
we must hunt down Krem of the Yellow Hills for
The way they
slaying my
talk, yeah.
father in cold blood. It was great. Um, so yeah, no, so he shows up because he hears that this little girl's been like trying to hire people to kill him, and so he attacks and they get into a little bit of a scrap and he fires an arrow. I know one strikes Supergirl and Krypto then tries to attack Krem, but then he hits Krypto with an arrow and gets Krypto. I forgot that. That was the thing I had heard. And I was like,
Okay.
"Oh shit, Krypto just got shot."
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it starts this adventure of the arrow was poisoned and
Hmm.
Krem escaped on Supergirl's ship that she had taken to get to the planet since it has a red sun she can't fly. And so it becomes like this, all right, we have to hunt him down because he's the only one that allegedly knows how to save Krypto based on how he mixes the poison. And they go
Hmm.
on this whole adventure. And holy shit, this was such a good book.
I know, yeah.
I
Uh,
I'm a little scared for the movie because so what do you know about the movie coming out before I talk my head off?
I just know it's based on the book. So
That's
I was
what
just reading this book and I was like, I can't wait to see this on screen. This is
right?
gonna be amazing.
So have you
I
heard
know, and
any of the
Lobo.
casting announcements?
I know Supergirl.
Okay.
Obviously. I didn't really keep track. I saw a few like the actors they have announced I'm not too familiar with. And at the time I didn't know the characters and I didn't really want to look back right away after reading. And then I
Hmm.
know I believe Lobo, right? We know is casted for
Yeah,
Supergirl.
I actually, so that's actually weird now because Lobo's obviously not in this book.
Right.
Um, yeah, I just realized I'm like, oh yeah, Jason Momoa's being introduced as Lobo in Supergirl. That's
I kind of see the
interesting.
direction. Like they're gonna use like the planetary tale of, introducing more space sides of this new universe,
Yeah,
which is smart. I get the vision, I think, going
yeah, and if
forward,
they
but
want to introduce him, I could see maybe he's like in a scene with the brigands or something,
yeah, he's
like the
like aboard
pirate
their ship or
people,
something. Yeah,
since
he's like
he's
with
like a
them.
mercenary himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so Millie Alcock is playing Supergirl. That was the big casting. And I
Yeah.
know they've started filming by this point. I think they started filming in
I think in
early
January?
February or yeah,
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
January. Um, so yeah, so I haven't seen House of the Dragon, but I know she's in House of the
Yeah,
Dragon.
same.
Um, so then Matthias Schoenaerts is going to be playing Krem. Eve Ridley, do I know this actor? She's going to be playing Ruth. Um, Nope, don't know her. And yeah, Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo, and then they've also cast Supergirl's parents. I think that was the recent casting announcement.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so the book, on the other hand, it was r released between 2021 and 2022, ran for 8 issues. It's entirely written by Tom King. And what's great about this book is that it's the same artist throughout.
Yeah, that
Same,
helps.
it was beautiful. I don't know how to pronounce the first name, but I believe it's Bilquis Evely. I think that's the name. Um, and oh my God, the art is stunning throughout. There have been other Tom King books I've read, um, where not Vi so Vision had a guest artist on one issue, and there was like a reason for that. They wanted like a different feeling issue and to give the main artist a break. But
Okay.
one book that I think about, that I don't think you've read, uh, Batman Catwoman. It was a 12 issue
Okay.
limited series that Tom King wrote, and the main artist. I think the I'm pretty sure it's Clay McCormick, if I'm remembering names correctly. Um, I think so. I could always look it up, but I don't feel like it. And but like for 6 issues in the middle, it was like a different artist, and it completely changed the feel of the book to me.
Oh
So that's
wow.
why like reading this straight through, I'm like, oh my God, this is just breathtaking art.
Yeah.
Like the splash pages and everything, like the
Oh yeah,
full
they're
pages you
amazing.
get.
Yeah.
Well, what were some standout splash pages for you? Because I got a couple in my mind.
There's the whole sequence where she's like flying into like a sun or a star. That was crazy. There was the
Hmm.
one where she's riding the horse away from the little orb. Those were
It
crazy.
was crazy
That
when it
was
went
amazing
black and
art.
white to show
Yeah,
that she's
that was
like
like I was like,
outside of
what
the
happened here?
universe.
That was like, yeah, I had to like almost like I flipped those pages a few times over because I was like, what should you just do here? I was like, you just
Hmm.
fly like out of space time.
Yeah.
Those were nuts. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of too many off the top of my head, but those two I remember stood out the most, where she's just whatever
Yeah.
she's doing something crazy in space, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, some that come to mind for me is like, because just to give a quick breakdown of the issues, issue one is the start of the story where drinking on the planet, we all meet the characters. Issue two, they're taking that trip, because since Supergirl shuttle was stolen, they have to basically take the bus,
The
but
bus, which I thought was
like a
so
space
funny. Yeah.
bus between places. And so the first page I think about, they get attacked at some point on like the bus trip by like a mystical or
Oh
like a
yes,
space
yes.
serpent or whatever. And there's that page where because Supergirl's still weak from the red sun, like she hasn't
Hmm.
been under a yellow sun yet, she's like, all right, does anybody have reds? Which I guess red kryptonite is basically just like legal marijuana
Yeah,
for space
like a party
aliens.
drug. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's like, all right, I know somebody on this bus has to have reds. So come on, cough them up. And it's like, so yeah, I'm not as familiar with red kryptonite in the comics because at least you've seen Superman 3, right? Where you get evil
I know the
Superman.
story of Red Kryptonite, but yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen the movie, but yeah.
Yeah, no. So like I think of red kryptonite and I think of, oh, we're gonna get evil
Yeah, it makes her
Superman.
evil.
Similar to like when we read
Right, with the
Although,
black kryptonite
yeah, the Black Kryptonite was in All-Star Superman. That really was like, I guess that made
made
them
him
the
evil.
opposite. Yeah, I don't know. But so Red Kryptonite, I guess, is just unpredictable. So she pops
Yeah.
some red kryptonite and then she gets like fire
Yeah,
phoenix powers.
yeah, literally a
I think of
phoenix.
that page where she's just like flying
Oh,
out
that
with
was
flaming
crazy.
wings. Awesome. That was issue two. Issue three. So that's a big thing about this book is it has like it goes deep into like it doesn't shy away from like dark themes
Oh yeah,
because
no.
you know the first one we get murder of a parent,
Yeah.
killed in cold blood. We get
Mm-hmm.
in issue three, it's all about them going to this town and basically realizing that the whole town is racist and
Oh yeah.
allowed
That was
the
crazy.
genocide of like
Yeah.
a race group.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we find out about the brigands who are basically like these genocidal pirates. So
Yeah.
then rest of the book just has genocide throughout it.
Right. Yeah. Major
Issue
theme.
four was like just I think I did tear up reading issue four where they're seeing all the calamity. The
They were just
part
hopping planet to planet, and it's just
Yeah,
one after the other.
the part that really got me, and it wasn't like maybe it was crying like tearing up out of sadness, but like you get to that one scene where the father of like he lost his daughter or whatever, and it's the
And she's
worker
helping
who
him with
has
the
to dig all
farm.
the
Yeah.
graves. Yeah. And so Supergirl's like, please just let me give you a rest. And he goes,
Yeah.
well, I gotta get it done before sunset so that everybody can have their own individual graves. Otherwise, everything's gonna be a mass grave because we can't do it all too quick and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I really want to make sure I get this done before sundown because my daughter's among them, and I don't know which body is
Which one
hers,
she is? Yeah.
but I want to make sure she's laid to rest. So when Supergirl like is like, let me help you, and she does everything at super speed, digs all
Right.
the graves so that they can lay him to rest. What got me was when she goes, just so you know, I used my supervision to read your DNA, and I know which body is your daughter's, and when you're ready, you know, we can
You can
pay
go there.
proper
Yeah.
respects. That got me. I was like, oh
It's
my
just crazy. Like
God.
I just didn't think any of this was gonna be happening in this book. It was just like,
No. No, this was like re honestly, this was like in a sense my experience reading like Gore the God Butcher, like that Thor
okay, yeah.
storyline. Because, you know, I guess there's a similar level of violence. There's a similar like quest of
Mm-hmm.
unfinished business hunting down the person. And it was just like one of the coolest things I've ever
Yeah.
read. And there were some heavy moments in that book. But yeah, the graves got me in issue four. Like, and just the fact that like the father can now actually like visit his daughter's I was like,
Right.
"Oh my God, that hit me."
Yeah.
Um so yeah, then issue 5 is where they first catch up to Krem, but he banishes them to the planet with a green sun. Um
Designed to kill Superman.
yeah, designed to kill
A whole
Superman.
planet.
That's like another page that stands out to me because, you know, they had that great talk, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
it's well, how long did your cousin survive?
Like 48 hours or something, barely. Yeah.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
She's like, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the setup was even better because Ruth goes, looking at the sun, I think we have about 10 hours of daylight. How long does Superman last? 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
The
The
Justice
Justice
League
League picked him
eventually
up or
saved him.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, the whole thing is like Supergirl down and Ruth really steps up. We get some great splash pages of dinosaur
Oh
like
yeah. I was like,
monsters
this is a cool
attacking them.
planet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. So I think about the next page I think about is you get like when the sun finally goes down and you get that great dialogue from Ruth where she's like, I'm praying to any power in the universe, any god, any entity. Please let the sun set faster.
Yeah.
Please let it set faster because Supergirl needs to get up and fight this thing.
Yeah.
Um, and just like with Supergirl, like she just holds out her hand, stops the charging like T-Rex monster,
Yeah.
and just what I love about this book, and I think you'll agree, it really clearly shows the difference between Superman and Supergirl. Because
Yeah.
like Supergirl has the mouth on her, has
Mm-hmm.
like that sarcasm. She's not like Superman where like, you know, everything he says is kind
Yeah.
of
Boy
like
Scout. Yeah.
yeah, chosen to be hopeful and like
Yeah.
set an example, but just the way she holds out her hand and stops the T-Rex and goes 45 minutes. What a little bitch. It's just like, oh my God.
It's a cool way to characterize it, just because like
Yeah.
it makes them different enough. Because I feel like, I mean, the few iterations I've seen, it's just she's the same as him. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, and it's like, yeah, give her a little something to work with. Like, I don't know. The
Well,
only problem I
like,
had with that whole issue was just like Ruth, you couldn't find like a cave to drag her in. Like there was no
yeah,
cave.
I did think about that. I was
You put
also
her
a
on a
little conf
tanning bed instead.
I
Like I
was a
was,
little confused by the geography too, because I'm like, well, they said this is like a planet with a kryptonite sun, but like there's like a wall of rocks around them. So
then
like,
there's a
is this
forest in the
just like
middle.
a
Like
specific forest or
yeah,
something that
I
you
was like,
can't
whatever, it's cool.
escape?
I'll
Exactly.
suspend my disbelief. But
Suspending disbelief was a big thing in this book for me. I'm like, I don't care. This is awesome.
yeah, red
Um,
kryptonite's weed. We're on the Superman killing planet.
yeah.
It's like
Like it was off. And like so and there's that point earlier in the series, like I think it's when I believe it was in issue 3 when they got to like the racist town and everything.
yeah,
Um, where Ruth says she goes, "In my time, I have heard many tales of Supergirl and her immense patience and this and that." That was not my experience with Supergirl because you see her like getting impatient,
yeah.
using her super breath on like the mayor or like the head of the police or
Hmm.
whatever. And so again, I like seeing those characterization differences between Supergirl and Superman. Because you watched did you watch the CW
The
Supergirl
show,
show?
yeah. That's
So
my
yeah,
most experience with her.
and she's very much in the show, similar to Superman of
She's
do the
Superman
right
light.
thing.
Yeah, like
Like, yeah, like stand up for injustice and this and that. Like it's not this version of Kara
no,
where it's
definitely not. No.
like we gotta deal
Like
with this
annoyed,
shit.
like
Yeah, like she
full
doesn't
full
have
spectrum of emotions. Like
yeah, it was so like just in depth. So yeah, so they're on issue 5 was them on the planet. They escape it. So then issue 6 is because issue 5 they got sent to that planet by Krem because he used magic.
little
And
orb,
then
yeah.
he tries the same trick at issue 6, and that's where you get the awesome, horse
The
issue
yeah.
with by the way, I'm not familiar with Comet, didn't even know
No,
that there
no
was a
idea he
super horse.
existed. Yeah.
No, I've known that there is Krypto. I know that Supergirl, and now I think she gave the cat to Power Girl. I know there's a super cat.
Right.
Um, but I didn't know about a super horse. And so, but yeah, it was just so cool. Where like Krem's taunting her and it's like, nobody can escape this. It's magic. How stupid are you? And then she's like, you're right. No man or woman could escape it. And she gets
I
on a
have a horse.
horse. Yeah, she's like, I have a super horse. Gonna ride to the edge of unknown, like the edge
That
of the
took me a minute.
universe.
I was like, she just has a horse. Like,
Yeah,
where
she
did
just
this
has a
horse come
horse
from?
and like they just fly to the edge of reality where I guess the magic no longer makes sense. Like I
Yeah, it just
pictured it
died
kind of
out.
like yeah, I pictured it like the fifth dimension or whatever, like Mr.
Yeah, something like
Mixospitalik.
that.
Something like that, where it just all right, they're outside of it and she
Rules don't
just
apply here. Yeah.
pops it, ends the magic, and then they get back. So then issue 7, and that was a big thing I liked about this book, because like Krem fires a few arrows into Supergirl at the start because she's weakened by the red sun. But
Right.
realistically, any other scenarios, Supergirl's taking him down. And I like that they kind of quickly just captured Krem and that was it. Like without the magic, he wasn't shit,
Yeah, he's
basically.
just a dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a dude. And he was a dick. This guy was just a
Yeah. Oh yeah.
jerk. Um, and so issue 7 is now like he's become one of the brigands. And so Supergirl goes to fight the brigands because it's one of those, oh, you've taken one of our own. We're never gonna
Right.
stop until we end you. And so she goes to fight the brigands, leaves Ruth with Krem and Comet, the horse, and because she didn't trust Ruth to not kill Krem.
Right.
Um, oh, that's crazy. I was holding my hand too much, so my hand went up on the Zoom call. Good. And so, yeah, so you get this great issue of like just space pirate battles. Like,
Oh
how
yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah, just like she's like Ruth's sitting there contemplating life, and Supergirl's just like blasting through pirates, and it's like
Hmm.
what a like dichotomy of the whole thing. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And it was so cool, like knowing, like Ruth there, like, I know why you're here, horse. You're here to stop me from killing him. And she just goes to draw the sword. The horse is like, no, and just
No, he gets right in front of her. Yeah.
right for her. But then Supergirl's like down and is about to get killed by like a kryptonite bullet. So
Hmm.
Comet like flies up to help Supergirl. And that was also a great page of her like
Oh yeah, yeah.
knowing Comet could hear and it's like, don't you do it.
And then he
Stay with
blasts
her.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Comet dies. That's sad.
Well, he becomes a
Still
man first. Let's
yeah,
not mess
so I
that.
guess, and I'm glad, what? I'm glad that the issue was self-aware enough to realize that we would be confused if we had no idea who Comet was.
Yeah,
And so like when Supergirl like brings Comet's body back down and Ruth's like, "Oh my God, who's that?" Oh, this
this is the
that
horse.
was Comet. It was a whole thing. Man cursed to be a horse. Doesn't matter. Let's just get back to Krim.
Almost like why add that in? Like I was fine with it being a horse.
I guess the continuity junkies would be like, well, Comet's actually a person, so if you kill him, technically, like I
Uh,
feel like that might have been one of those things. Uh,
hmm
so I like that they just kind of glazed over it.
Gloss over it, like moving on. Like
Yeah, moving on back to the plot, because what I would say, because the whole thing is the book ends with Supergirl fighting the brigands, and while Comet leaves Ruth, she frees Krem,
right.
and they have that standoff.
Hmm
So I think issue 7 gave me my favorite moments of the book, unless the fight happened in issue. No, no, it was so between 7 and 8. 7 gave me the favorite piece of dialogue. For me, it was when Supergirl takes on the brigands. Um,
Mm.
and Ruth is kind of talking about Supergirl and recounts like the classic Superman lore, being like, I have heard tales and rumors of Supergirl that she's faster than a speeding bullet, stronger than a locomotive, and can leap tall buildings in a single bound. And then she just says, she has the line after it where she goes, but let's be honest, how many bounds would it take
Yeah,
you? Like nobody's jumping over a
yeah,
building.
right. If
I,
you're
I
gonna do it,
just,
you're gonna do it in one.
yeah, and I thought that was so cool. That was my favorite piece of dialogue. But then my favorite moment, which I guess came in issue 8, was the standoff between Ruth and Krem, because you really
Yeah,
get this like, Princess Bride Inigo Montoya thing where she
yeah.
has the whole speech down and
hmm
memorized. And I also like that it didn't just make Ruth suddenly like trained fighter and everything,
No, yeah.
but she had watched Supergirl enough.
She picked up on stuff. Yeah, like she
Yeah,
wasn't oblivious.
like she kind of figured out like what kind of fight she was in for. And
Hmm
so I guess for lack of a better term, she kind of fought dirty a little bit because
Oh, totally. She had to.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, Krem's bigger than me. I know he's gonna go for the sword. So rather than reach for the sword, I'm just gonna kick him in the
Kick him
face.
hard. Yeah. I was like, good for you. I was like,
Yeah,
I was like, let's go.
he just keeps going.
I
Just
like the panel where she like did the first time where he's like grabbed because he's like jumping forward, so he's like not on his feet, and she says something about like he can have all the weapons he wants, but then like one of your biggest assets is like you're having your feet on the ground or something, and she just like
yeah.
kicks him right on top of the head as he's going for it.
Yeah, and her next line is, it's a little tough to fight when you can't see. And you just have
Yeah,
another panel her cracking him in the face. Just, oh my God. And like, it was such a cool, like, she got the better of him. She outsmarted him.
yeah.
And then she bites into his arm to get the sword out of his hand. And
hmm
now she's got the sword on him. When she cut off his fingers.
Oh, I thought she just like slashed his hand, but then I see his fingers missing in the next panel. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you cut them off. I was like, all
Yeah.
right.
And I'm pretty sure she like sliced his thigh or whatever to bring him to his knees. And I was just there like,
Okay.
okay, this is
Yeah,
cool. And
she's bringing him down to his last living breath.
yeah. And like just the way she's like, I've had the speech practiced for
Oh yeah.
weeks. And then does like the full Inigo Montoya thing of like, you killed my father. Prepare to
Prepare to
die.
die.
Like so good. Oh my God. And like it was in I will say something this book did really well was it made you think you knew what the ending was gonna be. Because like
Yeah,
the first issue, you get the you know, I wondered about why Krem would have left such a beautiful sword in the body of my father instead of taking it with him. And I never got to ask him before Supergirl ran the sword through him and everything. So you think Supergirl's gonna
hmm
kill the guy. And I like that it shows Kara almost doing it, and then you get like the true ending,
Right.
which is, oh, Ruth wrote this book basically because since Supergirl didn't take out the brigands, Supergirl didn't want them to go after Ruth. So
Right.
Ruth wrote the book to make it
With a
sound like
fake ending.
Supergirl killed Krem. And this way, Supergirl can handle the brigands if they ever go after her, and Ruth
Yeah.
can live her life in peace. And just that final twist that like they put Krem in the Phantom Zone,
Yeah.
and so he's just, which also, I don't know how much that final scene. I don't know how much time has
They were talking
passed.
centuries.
Well, in the Phantom Zone, I know time moves differently, so it makes
Okay,
sense if
okay, so that
Krem was
explains
in there
that.
for 300 years. But looking at Supergirl, like she obviously gets the different suit, she gets like
Right.
the haircut and everything, and so I want to say that maybe like for Supergirl, maybe she's now in her late 20s as opposed to like 21. So that makes me wonder if like Ruth's people age faster and so like she experiences life at a different, because like when Ruth was an old lady, I was just
Oh
there
yeah.
like,
I
oh.
took it as more like Supergirl just ages slower.
Well, the reason why I didn't take it as that, and this goes into, you know, because I know this takes place in main continuity. It's not
Okay.
an Elseworld story, because also Supergirl shows up again in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, which came
Gotcha.
out after this book. It first issue came out in July 2022, and Supergirl joins the basically John Kent's makeshift Justice League, and she's
Okay.
wearing this exact suit.
Oh, all right.
So I'm like, all right. So if we want to believe that like the majority of the story took place in the past, when Supergirl's like freshly arrived on Earth, just kind
Hmm.
of getting away to drink and everything, late 20s Supergirl would be like current Supergirl. Of course, this
Okay.
is me as the comic nerd digging too deep.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Because I would, if it were an Elseworld story, I could very well just interpret it as, all right, so Supergirl obviously lives longer because we've
Yeah.
seen those stories with Superman. So yeah, she's just reconnecting with Ruth when Ruth has grown up and become old. But
Hmm.
I'm gonna assume just because if this were to fit in main continuity, like Ruth's planet maybe just moves at like a faster
Or Ruth
pace
ages quicker, yeah.
and ages quicker, that she's like an old man by the end.
That's fair.
What did you think of the ending?
I had to do a double take. I'm like, did she kill him or not? Like, like I already read it. I'm like, because like I just saw him come out of the Phantom Zone, and then
Yeah,
like I got at the end when she hit him with her cane, like that didn't kill him. Because like I was
yeah.
reading online after, and like people thought he actually killed him with that. Like he looks like he's moving,
Well, yeah, because you
but
see like his hand like reaches for his head and then just kind of like his arm falls to his side. And I had the same thought as you probably like, did he just get brained?
and I think it's cute. It's like it just shows that like he's nothing to her now. Like it's just she's so like
Yeah,
at peace with it almost, where it's like now you're just like whatever. Let me hit you with your cane and move on with my day. Like,
and I took it as, because the whole thing is Supergirl explains he's been in the Phantom Zone for about 300 years for him.
hmm
And so the first 100 he was, just his usual self, like cursing and this and that.
yeah,
Second 100 years he actually started to reflect and think about all the wrongs he had done.
hmm
And then like the last 100 years he was in there, he became like a model inmate and everything and like earned
hmm
his freedom basically. And so he like begs Ruth for forgiveness for killing her father, which is like, I was just so happy
She
that
owes
Ruth
him
get,
nothing. Yeah,
yeah,
like
I was so happy that like Ruth kind of got like her final say that she wanted, where she just
yeah,
cracks him with her cane. He falls to the ground, and it's like, yeah, don't give him what he wants.
yeah,
Like,
no,
like on the one hand, sure, there's the whole forgiveness is the way,
no.
but no, you took
It's
the
way more
guy, you
satisfying and like
took your
real.
father,
Yeah,
and you don't owe him forgiveness. Like this is his guilt that he has to live with. Like giving him an apology is just gonna, you know
yeah, like
make him
yeah.
feel absolved and like
She lived
no,
a whole life like and she like
yeah,
at peace. Like yeah, he didn't deserve any of that. And like killing him, I would have had a problem with because I feel like that
yeah,
defeats like the whole
point
ending.
of the
But like
book,
just like a bash on the head, he's still alive. Whatever. Like move on.
yeah.
Like
And
that's
it
just
was just
cool.
so good, just crack. He
Oh
just
yeah.
falls, and then I think you see in the panel, I think she like kind of like spits out and then just walks away, and then Supergirl goes in the
Yeah.
other direction. Just so good. What did you think? Like, what was your standout like piece of dialogue or moment in the book?
I think again that whole panel where she's like flying into that star or something, and it's like super
Mm,
good. Like people think her strength is like being able to shoot laser beams or like breathe ice, but it's like it's actually like her real strength is like not using those powers and
yeah.
like not going like showing restraint and like because or it was like you can ask her how she's doing and she'll always say she's fine. Where like I've
Mm.
learned now like she's not fine. Like I think that was whole. And then
Yeah.
especially when we learn all about what happened on Krypton and what happened on Argo, the city.
Yeah, that was a
And
cool like cross, contrast of like her on the horse versus like her, basically surviving the end of Krypton. And
yeah.
I did think that was cool with the when they because I'm sure you were the same way before reading this. Like you just kind of picture Krypton as, oh yeah, it blew up in like a day. And
Yeah,
when
like
they
I mean, I know there's
describe,
different interpretations of what happened on
yeah,
Krypton, but I just figured she left when it blew up. Like,
yeah. And just the way like, the story's told where it's like, but people don't realize that like the destruction of Krypton didn't happen in a single day. Like there were
oh no,
earthquakes
yeah.
and, people are kind of getting crushed and this and that. Like
Hmm.
that was so cool. That's a good moment. And
Like bring it to ground level Krypton, like that was kind of
yeah.
cool. Like because you don't get that with Superman because he was like a baby, like he didn't
Well,
see what
you
happened.
get that when they make a show like Krypton and when they make a
Sure,
Krypton
sure.
comic book and like people don't really care about the story, but seeing it in this vein, I feel like was
Yeah.
awesome. And the point,
And
the
like it ha
part, what?
sorry,
No, you
keep
first.
going.
No, you first.
All right, I was just gonna say like the fact that it happened like essentially three times for her too. Like she didn't leave
Mm,
Krypton the one time. She came back and then they find out the soil's poisoned and like they
yeah,
have pretty
because
much
it's
a mass
kryptonite.
outbreak and then
Yeah,
another couple months later it happens again and like she's
meteor
just
storm.
watching. Yeah, like she just keeps watching her population dwindle and dwindle and finally her dad puts her on the ship.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I mean, because the only story I've heard with her is again the show, and the show is just
Yeah,
Krypton's blowing up, like get her out of here.
she got
But the
sent
fact that
along
she,
to look out for Superman. Yeah.
yeah, and then she gets lost, so she gets there later. But
Hmm.
this was just more like, no, she lived that whole time on Krypton with the Kryptonians while he got sent away,
Yeah.
and she's just going through hell. Like,
Hmm.
and she watches her mom die, which leads to finding out the the soil's poisoned, and then the meteor strike along with the poisoned
Can't
soil. It's
catch a
like,
break.
no, and it's like the dad's like, all right, you're done here. Let's go. Like, someone needs to live on. And
Yeah.
the fact that like she's told all, like she doesn't she has all that guilt of watching everyone like leave and like her
Hmm.
knowing like she was conscious when she left like at
Yeah.
least not like not she wasn't a baby, she remembers it, she understands what's happening.
Hmm.
And so it's like I'm glad they dove into that a little more, like because again it's one piece of information that makes her a little different than Clark.
Yeah. And
And
like
so
that makes me think of that piece of dialogue where, at the end when like Ruth's about she can't bring it she can't bring herself to kill Krem. And so Supergirl kind of takes the sword like she's gonna kill Krem
hmm
to I guess finally hammer the lesson in. And what was it, the dialogue where um Supergirl says, she goes, listen, I wanted you to, I don't know, learn a lesson or something about
yeah,
killing's wrong. Because, but I guess I'm not the person to teach you this because I still dream of Krypton. And it's like,
yeah,
she can't forgive
right,
everything. And I was like, oh, that's good. And the other scene you referenced, her flying into the star, that was like, what, issue 4 when they're seeing
it
all
was
the
earlier on,
atrocities?
yeah,
And so yeah, like it's almost like in a Black Bolt sense. Like she knows that if she screams, like her power is gonna bring down the place. And she's
hmm
like, I need to let this out because I can't keep my emotions caged
yeah,
anymore. And yeah, she just flies into the star, and you just see like her letting out the
yeah,
scream. It's like and it comes out like a solar flare, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, that's what the panel is. Yeah, it's like a whole,
so cool.
it's crazy, yeah,
Yeah. So standout character. I don't know if you'll agree with me, Ruth. Just
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Ruth.
This
Like just that
bloodthirsty little girl, yeah.
oh my gosh, she's focus camera. Come on camera. There we go. That whole because she just has so many great standout moments in this book. Like my favorite is the face down at the beach. But like even at the start of the book, like she just has her manners and like
She's
feels that
determined. Yeah.
yeah,
She's ready to go.
things need to be a proper way. Like there's this code of honor and
Oh
like
yeah, like she's
understanding with
supposed to be
her.
abiding by.
Yeah, like in the first book where like she's doing the pitch and she's like saying the same speech of I am seeking a warrior to help me hunt down Krem, and she just kind of keeps
Hmm.
saying it. And then when she's on the bus and like the guy keeps falling asleep on her shoulder and she like wakes him up and is like, "Sir, I have purchased a ticket on this vessel, and that contract makes me believe I'm supposed to have a certain amount of space, and you seem to keep violating this amount of space.
Hmm.
She's just great.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing about the book that like I loved is it did show both sides to Supergirl. You got
Hmm.
both like her ferocity when like she wants to like, just kind of unleash like on people. And then you got the other side, which is the comfort, the hope. Like that scene of her just teaching Ruth how to wash her
Oh
hands.
yeah.
When I first read that, I was like, and like even this just goes into how beautiful the art is. You see like the first panel, like the dirt on her fingertips, like
Yeah.
under her nails, and you see with each panel how it just slowly starts to go away as
Hmm.
like super. I was just like, this is so good. This is something else.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Was there
I
anything
was a
you?
little. Oh,
Oh no, you
sorry.
first.
I was just a little worried when it started, and we were kind of getting a sense of this Supergirl, and I was just like, all right, you're just gonna make her like snarky, like you know what I mean? Like, is that what
Yeah,
you're
are you
gonna
just
do
gonna
with
make
her?
her like an
And like,
asshole?
yeah, and I'm like, don't do that, because she is Supergirl at the end of the day. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she has the morals of Clark. Like, I believe she believes everything Clark would believe. Like, and it's
Yeah.
just she just has that extra part to her where she's like, she also doesn't
She's
care what people
younger.
think. She's gonna,
She
yeah, she's gonna. She doesn't have to be the. I mean, she is a role model, and like I
yeah.
think that's still the good important piece to have of her. I
And
think
that
it's
is a
also
big
just like
message of the book by the end.
yeah, and so I think it's just I'm glad they were able to balance that of like the snarkiness and like not really she'll say anything and
Hmm.
like she'll like she doesn't care to stand up for herself and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I'm also glad she kept like the whole morality around her, which was good. Like I didn't want to see her just murking people like just like
Yeah,
left and right. So
I
I was like, all
really,
right,
I'm not gonna lie, there was a good portion there. I'm like, is she gonna kill people? Like,
yeah, like don't do
espe-
that.
especially in the Brigands and like with Krem, I'm like, is this
Yeah,
gonna be like a lesson of she actually took a life and
right.
that's gonna be a part of her character moving forward? And it's like, oh no, she still was the because that was like a big message at the end with Ruth like talking down Supergirl from killing Krem. And
Hmm.
she's like, listen, when girls face these hardships across the universe, they're gonna think of you and
Right.
how you stand strong and you can brave the storm and all of
Yeah.
that. And like also like I think you referenced before the piece of dialogue with like how Supergirl says she's gonna be fine, like even if
Right.
she's like holding all this stuff in. And like just the way Ruth phrases it, I think it's something like where she goes, and I knew a lie could be true and good or whatever. Like she knows
Yeah.
Supergirl's lying. Like she's
Hmm.
not like she is bothered by all of this stuff.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, it was oh my God. So my question was gonna be, is there anything you disliked about the book?
Not off the top of my head. Like
No,
definitely not.
right?
Yeah, like trying to think like I could be picky, but like it's
There was
just
something that bothered me that ended up basically being a trick played on me because the
hmm
whole premise of the book is we need like Supergirl's mission to find Krem is we need to get the poison to save
right to
Krypto.
make an antidote. Yeah.
And like in the first issue, the way they describe Krypto's poisoning is they're like, he's not going to survive long. And then like issue two, like the space bus ride alone took them like a month or two.
Yeah, I'm
And
like
then,
crypto's dead, right?
yeah. And I was like, yo, Krypto's dead. Like you're not getting, like
This
it's
had to
been
be like a 1 day brigade. Like
yeah, like it's been like a year, I feel like, across this whole book. Like
crypto just on his deathbed, like waiting for a
Krypto's
year.
dead. And then, but then they get me in the end where Supergirl's about to like kill Krem. I guess her final, either she's about to snap or she's really trying to hit the message home with Ruth. It's kind of up to interpretation a little, I think.
Hmm.
Because Supergirl did see a lot of atrocity and Ruth
Yeah.
kind of talks her down. I don't think Supergirl was putting on like, in my interpretation, Supergirl wasn't putting on a show. Like she
No,
was
no.
considering it. Um, and just like the way that Ruth is suddenly like, "Oh my God, but we have to get the poison because we gotta say Krypto." And Supergirl's like, "Oh
Crypto's
yeah,
fine.
Krypto's fine. I made that up just
Yeah.
because I knew you're gonna spend your whole life trying to hunt this guy
You're
down."
thirsty to kill this man. Like
And so I figured I would come along with you and again try to teach you a lesson about,
hmm
sparing life and being better than, these evil people and all that stuff. But again, I don't know if I'm the right person to do it because I still dream of Krypton. That line still
Yeah.
just hits for me. I
Makes
still
them real.
dream of
Yeah.
Krypton. Yeah, it was so. But yeah, I really that was the one thing that was bothering me. I'm like, yo, Krypto's dead.
Like, are we wasting our time here?
I was like, you're expecting me to believe that Krypto like hung on for like a year?
Poisoned for months.
Like, don't get me wrong. I was like we'd said earlier, suspending disbelief because I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, even though they were on the planet with the red sun, like Supergirl was still able to like take some arrows in the chest and have some super strength. So I'm like, all right, Crypto could be hanging on, but the way they made it sound, he's gonna die like in a week. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, Crypto's dead. So what in the end when they pay it off of, oh no, he's fine. Like
Hmm.
veterinarian's just watching him for me.
Yeah.
Like he's good. I was like, oh, okay. Comet's
Hmm.
dead, but Crypto's fine.
Oh yeah. A man and also dead. But
A man who was cursed to be a horse or whatever, he's dead, but Crypto's fine. Um, yeah, no, I think this book's 10 out of 10. What about you?
oh yeah, agreed.
10 out of
I
10.
like to
Like,
the
I understand why they're making this movie.
I'm glad they are. Yeah. Like every page, I'm just like, this is gonna be an awesome movie. Like that's all I kept thinking.
Like, it was crazy to me when the announcement first came out because I'm like, all right, this book is only like 4 years old. You're
Yeah.
already gonna adapt it into a movie. But
Hmm.
like, after reading this, I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't care.
And like, yeah, after the initial announcement, I'm like, oh, you're gonna do Supergirl so soon, especially right after
Hmm.
Superman. It's like, is it gonna be this? Like, are people gonna get annoyed? Like,
Hmm.
Kryptonian, like, they're so similar. And it's like, I'm sure, of course, you could tell a different story, but like the fact that like Superman is gonna be in Metropolis on Earth, more like a human story, and this is gonna be more of this intergalactic
Yeah.
medieval tale. It's like, okay, good. He understands they had to be very different.
Hmm.
So
And
I'm
like
glad.
I can see how you tell this story in a movie because I feel like some of these issues, even though they're awesome, like on their own, they
Hmm.
can be like probably cut down into like
Oh, true. Of
quick
course. Yeah.
scenes and moments, like very much like them seeing the devastation. That can be a montage as it was in that issue. But like
Right.
you could probably make like the horse chase probably like 5 minutes, maybe just
Hmm.
some quick flashbacks to Krypton, but you don't need to like tell the full story side
Right.
by
Right.
side. And I also think like even like being banished to like the planet with the kryptonite sun, like I could see
Hmm.
that being just like a 10-minute thing where they kind of like speed through it of like
Right. Yeah.
you show a couple fights with Ruth and like keeping Supergirl safe, but at the end of the day, like it's just a quick 5 minute thing. Like I could see them how they would cut this down and make it like I could see this easily going into a movie and not me being like, oh, but they cut out all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I could see this how it would play out well.
There's rooms to trim it down and rooms to expand. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
the action that's only one page on the book can be easily a 5-10 minute scene in the movie. So it's like
Yeah. Like even the bus issue, like that could also just be like a quick five
quick.
minutes.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you're gonna get like I could feel like if I were to break this down minute wise, because like I would ballpark the movie at like 2 hours, 2 hours 20,
Yeah.
right?
Typical. Yeah.
First 20 minutes is, issue one. Then you get like a 5 minute thing of issue two. Issue three, I feel like they would stretch out because that's like, a big part, the town and everything. So
Hmm.
that would be like another 15, 20 minutes. So now we're approaching almost an hour. That's when you get your montage of all the devastation.
Right.
And then the back half would be, them getting first trying to attack Krem. That's like your midway point.
Hmm.
They get banished to the planet with the green kryptonite
Right.
sun, and then they escape that. You get the montage again of them chasing down, getting back to Krem, the horse chase and
Hmm.
everything, and then the final act, like the last 40 minutes, is the fight with the brigands, the showdown between Ruth and Krem, and then you get like your 5 minute epilogue of
Old
um,
Ruth and
old
everything. Yeah.
Ruth, and then Lobo shows up somewhere.
And then Lobo's at the end.
Lobo's just there.
She marries Lobo.
Yeah. Oh, so to talk about the movie a bit, get into it because this was the joke I was gonna tell to you, thinking
Mhm.
about it. So like Krypto is adorable in the trailer for Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
So
You
they're
gotta see
gonna
this dog get
shoot that
shot.
dog with an arrow.
I wonder if like I wonder I mean, yeah, that's gonna be devastating. But I'm
Yeah.
sure. I wonder if like we see her take Crypto because she's supposed to be in Superman.
That was gonna be my thing. I'm like, imagine the post-credit scene for Superman Legacy. One of them is like, "Hey
Her
Clark,
leaving
I'm gonna take Crypto to go drinking on a
to go get
planet,"
drunk,
and like, it's
and then
almost
we're all
like,
like, "Oh no."
yeah, comic readers. Oh no, I know what's gonna happen. That's not good.
Everyone's like, "Oh,
Crypto,
that's
don't
not that.
go.
She's going on a trip." And we're like, "No, she's going to get shot."
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. I'm like, oh my God, post-credit scene. I'm gonna go get drunk. Crypto, come on. And I'm just gonna be like, no, Crypto,
Don't get
don't
on that
go.
ship.
Oh my God. Isn't that a meme? Oh God, I'm trying to remember what it is, but just like the dread of like, no, no, no. Oh wait, yeah, yeah, the Punisher. Like, no, 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 no.
Oh yeah,
Wait, 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 wait. No, no, no.
it's like back and forth.
Oh my God. Yeah, because I don't see how you really have Supergirl in Superman Legacy outside of like a post-credit scene. Like, I feel like that's where
Then she'd have to
you
get
would have
involved
her.
in whatever's happening in Superman.
Yeah,
We're not really seeing her get involved.
yeah, unless they do like, end of the movie, like, you
She
know,
shows up
conversation with Cal or something.
because she's
But
an established hero in this book at least. So I would think in
mhm.
Superman she would have to be too.
Yeah. And like that's kind of how they're playing the new DCU is like you're just jumping into
No
it.
origin
Like,
stories, yeah.
yeah, because like even Creature Commandos shows like all the heroes exist.
Right.
Like they've been around, people know of them.
Hmm.
Um, Superman might be young and starting out,
Yeah, I'm sure it'll
but
be first year heroes, but
yeah.
not we're not gonna watch Krypton blow up again. Like
Yeah, no. Could you imagine?
we
Could you
can't.
imagine just same opening shuttle
Yeah.
being sent from Krypton
Yeah.
blows up? And it's like, have you not seen this before? Like it's gonna be like the
Yeah.
start of a Batman v Superman where you see Bruce Wayne's parents
Oh
get
my
killed in
God.
the alley again,
Yeah.
and you're like, all
With the
right,
pearls.
like the Batman learned the lesson. Yeah, we don't need to show it. We're good.
You know it. Everyone knows
Yeah, I mean, don't tease Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Flashpoint Batman for like no
it.
reason. Um,
Yeah, really.
so. So yeah, no. Oh my God. I'm excited for the movie. But yeah, Lobo is a weird, casting announcement being that he
Yeah.
just doesn't he's not in this book. Like I feel like if anything, maybe he'll show up in a post-credit scene. But then why would they have the casting announcement, you know?
Nah, it'll be a one of
I
the
think he'll be
planets
with
they
the
run into
brigands or
him. Maybe a
something.
fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Or he's in like a bar or something.
He's
And
just in
like,
the
yeah,
bar at the beginning.
oh, I know what they could do.
Or he's the guy
Um,
he fights first. She fights first. That could be cool.
he's the bounty hunter that Ruth tries to hire to hunt down Krem,
First. Yeah.
and instead, Supergirl and him get into a scrap, and then Lobo just
Yeah.
kind of like flies off on his motorcycle. That's what they could do.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I know Tom King is involved in the
Oh,
DC
good.
universe and the writing of stuff because I'm pretty sure he's a writer on Lanterns. Um,
Okay.
I don't know if he's writing the script for the movie though, for Supergirl
Oh, all
Woman of
right.
Tomorrow. I'm not sure. I'll look it up right now. Is Tom King writing the Supergirl movie? He's credited as a writer on it, but other writers on the movie are going to be Otto Binder, who I think is a Suicide Squad comic writer,
Okay.
and Anna Noguera, who I'm less familiar with. But Otto Binder rings a bell because I want to say that James Gunn has referenced him before around the time that the Suicide Squad was coming out, saying that he
Sure.
wanted to pay homage to those books. Otto
Hmm.
Binder, Suicide Squad. Yup, American author of comics. Yeah, think so.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited for this movie, the DCU. I'm still curious to see how the DCU will pan out in the long run because
Yeah.
obviously we've heard news that like some projects like aren't in the works or
Just not
suspended
moving forward at the moment. Yeah.
indefinitely or something or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, we'll see.
I mean,
But
as expected.
hey,
You know,
if I get a good Superman movie, good
all
Supergirl
I want right
movie,
now.
I'm
Yeah.
good. And
Agreed.
like you said, I feel like Superman's gonna be that human movie of on Earth, the inspiration, the hope, and then, Supergirl will be the space adventure of, here's what a younger Kryptonian who's not as idealistic might be like.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's cool. 'Cause like that was, did you ever watch the animated movie? what was it? It was Batman, Superman, Apocalypse, I think.
No, I don't
Um,
think so.
so I think that's what it was. Batman, Superman, Apocalypse. Yep, 2010 film. So I'm pretty sure this adapted a Batman Superman arc from comics, but the point of this movie is it starts out with Supergirl arriving to Earth, like
Okay.
her
Oh,
shuttle arrives, and then Superman finds her or anything. I think she lands like near Gotham. And so she kind of like
okay.
runs amok of Gotham and maybe Batman first encounters her. But then Superman shows up, realizes she's his cousin. And then like the whole point of the movie is it does show the differences between Supergirl and Superman. Like they show how Supergirl's more hard-headed and like she goes to like Themyscira for a bit. And
Hmm.
like this whole time the big villain of the movie is Darkseid, who wants to basically train and like mind wipe Supergirl into being one of his Furies and
Okay.
like his agent. Um, but it's a really good story, and that introduced to me like the differences between Supergirl and Superman, where it's like hopeful, idealistic, and then Supergirl like has that, but is
Right.
more of a younger, like angry, dealing with the trauma of losing Krypton more
Yeah.
because she actually lived there for a time.
Right.
Like Supergirl, and that also gets tackled if you want a good movie in the Tomorrowverse, which is like the part two of the animated movie universe that came out
Okay.
between like the 2010s. Um, there's a Supergirl movie, or actually, no, I think it's a Legion of Superheroes movie, but it focuses on Supergirl
Okay.
and she has that talk with Superman, or I don't know if she has a talk with Superman. Forgetting details, but she does have a talk of like Superman got to basically he knows of Krypton, but I was there, like I was
Yeah,
raised
like
there,
it's
like
not
I
home to
lost
him.
them,
Yeah.
like, um,
Right.
so yeah, I'm very curious to see that play out on the big screen because
Hmm.
that's a really interesting take.
Of
That's a
course, yeah.
contrast that I really love. Again, though, they made Krypto so adorable. They're gonna shoot that dog.
We're gonna have to watch him shoot the dog. Unfortunately.
And actually, come to think of it, I don't think we're gonna get Comet in the movie, probably. How do you
I don't
introduce
think.
Super Horse?
I mean, at that point.
Like
Like,
I feel like if they were to do it, I feel like it would just be her flying like faster to like the
yeah,
edge
I
of
can see them just
reality, just to
removing
show
him.
the might of Supergirl, maybe.
That's Lobo.
That's Lobo, yeah.
She's gonna ride Lobo.
She steals Lobo's motorcycle and they
They,
ride
oh, see,
off.
that'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. But like then you'd have to say that Lobo's motorcycle is like faster
It's
than a
faster than
Kryptonian.
Supergirl.
Yeah. Oh my God. The more I think about like how this thing could play out on screen, it's just like, man, they're gonna shoot that dog. This is
Yeah,
gonna get this is gonna be dark if they let it go there. Here's my question to you. Do they
sure.
let this movie be rated R?
No,
No?
no, not
You
a
don't
chance.
you don't think so?
No, not at all.
So even though the Suicide Squad was rated R, even though, Creature Commandos was like TVMA,
I don't
No
see it.
radar Supergirl. Yeah, probably not.
No. I
Probably not. I feel like PG-13 at
don't need it to
best.
be.
I mean, I'd love to see some of the lines play out on the
Oh,
big screen,
obviously.
especially the what is it? Although PG-13 would allow for this, the 45 minutes. What a little bitch.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, you can still say all that.
I
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
see that stuff. But that was another cool thing about this book because like sometimes when you read like censored words in comics,
Hmm.
I feel like it could be a few things. In
You
this
know exactly
book,
what she's saying.
you know exactly what's being said, like especially Krem. Like you could tell he was saying some derogatory terms towards the two of them. I'm like, yep, I know exactly what curses he's using here.
Oh yeah.
Um, just Tom King's writing in this was just awesome, and Ruth's
Yeah.
voice, just such a unique book, and just oh, so awesome. I'm glad we read this. I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
what
totally.
you and I might read next for the show because like I don't think it can top this one, but oh my God, this was good. Any parting thoughts or ideas about this book or where the DC universe, anything you got?
Yeah, I'm glad we got it. I'm glad we read it. I'm glad we're getting a movie about it. I'm
Yeah.
glad seems James Gunn is ready to kind of give the world, at least the wider audience, a new interpretation of Supergirl. That's I think going to be pretty fun to play with.
Yeah, because it will be different from the
Yeah.
TV show,
Oh,
definitely
totally.
after reading this.
And I
I
mean,
never finished Supergirl, did you?
I watched it to the end. Yeah.
You watched it to the end.
Yes.
Because I stopped watching all the shows after Crisis. I dropped
Yeah,
off of
you were
all of
probably
them.
better off.
Yeah, that's kind of what the one I would like to finish is Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, finish Legends kept the
I
strength
enjoyed
going.
Legends. I liked how wacky it got. Like when it found its own footing of like, all right, we're not gonna be Arrow, we're not gonna be Flash. Let's just go
We're
nuts.
not
Like
even gonna be a
that's
DC show anymore. We're just
it
gonna
hit
be
its
like,
show. It hit its stride for me. But when I started, it was like season 6 that started after Crisis. I was kind of like, all right, now we're doing science fiction. I don't care as much. Like when they
yeah,
moved from like the time travel and the magic to science fiction, which again makes sense for the show of exploring a new genre, I did
yeah.
kind of fall off a bit. I was like, all right, I'll get back to this.
I think it's the most consistent of all the shows.
Yeah. Well, once it finds its footing in like season 3, because like seasons 1, it very much tried to be another Flash or Arrow
Serious, yeah,
with
yeah.
like a serious tone. Season 2 also was like that, but they started playing
They had more
around
fun. Yeah, they
like an
did the whole
episode or
Legion of
two.
Doom. Like that was cool.
Yeah, but then
So,
season 3, they finally hit their
oh
stride.
yeah,
The
they're
way
like,
I
we're having
always
fun here.
describe it is like, listen, the finale of I might have said that in our last conversation actually, but like literally, like what I always say is, listen, the finale of season 3 is a giant Care Bear fighting a time demon. You
That's all you need to
can't.
know.
That's how I can sum up the show. You just gotta watch.
Praise Bebo.
Praise Bebo. I will say that is a crime that they never actually sold like a
Why can't I
Bebo
buy a
plushie.
Bebo?
I want a Bebo. Like, why can't I get a Bebo? I want the
Missed
book.
opportunity.
I want the Bebo book. I want my Bebo merchandise. That's what we need, Supergirl Woman tomorrow. No Lobo. I want Bebo. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I got of the book. It was awesome. I'm excited to
Yeah.
see what comes of the movie. And yeah, I'm happy this finally pushed me to read the book because yeah, I could have read this in 2021 and I didn't. So, but it was definitely better reading it in like one sitting.
Yeah.
Um, so, all right, I guess I'll do my little outro script here. So, thank you once again for visiting your local Comic Con. If you like today's discussion, please feel free to check out other episodes we've done. All episodes of the podcast are available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud, with new episodes dropping every Monday at midnight. Please feel free to subscribe to the show and follow my socials at Local Comic Con for clips, what we're reading in the future, and more fun. If you'd like to support the show, I encourage you to subscribe to our Patreon to gain access to behind the scenes content and other resources for both reading and digital creation. Thank you so much again for visiting, and I'll see you the next time. Any last words, Michael?
Thanks again for having me. Can't wait to meet Supergirl in July.
Awesome.